Ben Willery, Ryan Colbert at attack.
That ought to do it.
Okay.
We were just informed by one of our techies that some of the sound wasn't coming through. So, boy, that is really unfortunate for the viewers at home and abroad because we're doing a bang-up job up here in the wind. But hopefully we're coming through now. We should get word from the internet universe shortly that we tweaked a knob and things should be up and running here. You hear some sniffles in the background. This is like a late fall game, minus the 50-some-odd or 60-some-odd degree weather. 2-0 Eagan at this point. And I'm Ken. Scott's to my immediate right. Jesse's on the camera. And the Eagan Wildcats have maintained a great deal of possession thus far.
Yeah, again, just continue to move the ball around. Looking, the Wildcats looking for the right shot, displaying some patience, and keep working it around. Good practice. A little missed pass. Jack Kinnermeister trying to gain some possession. Oh, the ball's slippery right now. Apparently, there we go.
Seemingly so. And, last week, the Benilde game, the Benilde Red Knights, their JV team, they were making some unforced errors. And in the two games that we've covered on the YouTube upload here, we have not seen that. And in the Chanhassen game that we covered for we didn't cover for the JV, they have not made a lot of unforced errors. The passing and the catching has been there. Obviously, that's where it starts.
Right.
The shots are going to come.
Yeah, you don't want to, turnovers happen, but you don't want to automatically give them one by dropping a pass or, not being able to field a ground ball when you're uncontested. So, again, stick-to-stick passes, working the ball around, waiting for a good shot. And then Ben Willery battling for possession there, and still bouncing around.
Got a flag down. Looks like it's going to be against the Wildcats. Probably a push as they bring one of their poles, brings it out across. They're one of their first sustained possessions so far tonight.
Yeah, let's see what they got, if they can make something happen here before the penalty's called. Yeah, there we got a whistle.
All right, here we go.
Let's see what's going on.
For the Wildcats, their second goal of the game, number 39.
So it might be a slash.
Assisted by number 6, Paige Poplinski.
That's the girls' lacrosse game that you're hearing in our background. They also are hosting the Shakopee team tonight.
The assist to Paige Poplinski, 11:26 remaining first half.
All right, so as we were talking about, our poles, our goalies, our defensive middies will get some work here. Shakopee with possession in the Eagan's end in a man-up situation. Let's see, again now when Benilde got in these situations against Eagan on Saturday, especially earlier in the game, Eagan managed to force a turnover, bring it down to their attacking end, and play catch until the penalty was up.
Yeah, there was a couple of times, Scott, when it wasn't apparent that we were a man down.
Right.
We put a man on the ball, and then that ball gets to the ground, and we got there quickly, scooped it up, and got back to our possession. So
Carter Starkey is in net and just lost his stick there, which can be a little delicate situation for a goalie. Now this is at the opposite end of the field, a little further away from our vantage point here, so a little tricky to see numbers. Trying to call out some of the folks on defense in case we don't get to do that. Cody Rader is in there. White Bucky is in there, and I'm looking to see the other number, and I can't make it out at this point. Ryan Meakin. Again, the Wildcats doing their job here, just forcing the ball to the perimeter, not letting Shakopee get in position to shoot.
Yep.
Forced turnover, Wide Bucky knocked the ball loose, and the Wildcats now have possession, are moving up the field. It's Cody Rader bringing it into the offensive zone and hands it off to a short stick, and let's reset. Good decision there.
The game, number 36, Sarah McNichol. The assist, number 14, Kelly Coyne.
And Eagan back at full strength.
10 minutes, 22 seconds remaining. Wildcats goal, second of the game for Sarah McNichol.
And it looks like, in case you're just joining us, the Cats are still up 2-0 here in a game where they've largely had most of the possession, been able to kind of at will move the ball around the perimeter. They've done a nice job of staying all over the Shakopee Sabres when they've had the ball, like now, and he's being pursued pretty heavily as he makes his way into the Eagan end of the field to set up.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the one nice thing about when you get these games where the attacks and the middies are really driving the play and handling things, the poles get hungry, and they're doing their job great, but you're going to find they play a little more physical game, it seems like, when they're forced to stand around for the large majority.
Right. They have all their energy in reserve, and when it comes time to play, they're chomping at the bit.
Sure.
And you know, you saw it in the previous possession. And again, we got a depot. I think that's Cody Rader again bringing the ball up the field. Again, you know, our depots always like to certainly get in and get an offensive opportunity, but the right thing to do is to get it to a short stick and maintain possession and set up your offense, and good disciplined play.
Absolutely. Where the flag down against the Sabres, probably a slash and a shot and a goal by Eagan. We're somewhat removed from the day when every time a pole brought it down, they usually wound up shooting. Right. They seem to be they're coachable at these older ages, and they understand that get it down, get it to a short stick, and get back to your post.
Right. Certainly you envision the conversation from the coach player's son. You did that in 13. You can't do that here.
Right.
You're going to turn the ball over, and I'm going to be mad.
That scoreboard is a long way from our press box, folks, but I think we're sitting at 3-0 Wildcats, and they are a man up.
Yeah, we might need to get our vision checked here after this. Get a new set of eyeglasses that can see 150 yards away. Eagan wins the faceoff, brings it into the zone.
And again, too, we're seeing that discipline play because, again, we're seemingly doing kind of what we're executing the game plan just the way we want to. So you're going to see higher percentage shots, lots more passes, preferably a lot of strong execution, and those high percentage shots, they yield more goals.
They do, yeah. Seeing some good team play here, seeing guys being unselfish, making the pass. There can be a temptation and where you can sense that you've outmatched your opponent to, I'm just going to run at the net and I'm going to see if I can score 7, 8, 9, 10 goals today, and not the right thing to do long term. So good unselfish play by the Wildcats.
Well, we talked about it last week too, how that disciplined play, when you have maybe a potential advantage like we do right now seemingly, is going to serve you really well when you're in tighter games.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
About 30 seconds prior to that last shot on net, there was a shot just outside the crease that was right on target. Nice save by that Sabres goalie at point-blank range. Nice opportunity for that pole in the corner there for the Sabres to get his stick up and kind of thwart that attempted pass inside.
Colby Sorensen, Matt Verbeek, and Cole Gibson in the game at midi. Trying to get these folks recognized as the middies rotate through the game.
Shot by Verbeek just off to the left of the goalie. Yeah, that wind is blowing just about as hard as it might sound like it is. I'm looking at a flag probably a half a mile away, and it's standing out pretty straight.
The weather report, I just looked, and it says 9 miles an hour from the west. Now, we're 20 feet off the ground, but this isn't 9 miles an hour, Ken. This is 20, 25, I don't know.
It's sustained, too. Has a nice shot and a goal.
Great play. Good patience, set up a good feed as Colby Sorensen was cutting down the middle there, caught a pass and finished the play. Nice, again, great teamwork, good ball movement by the Wildcats to generate goal number 4. In case anyone's wondering out on the World Wide Web or their mobile phone, Eagan girls are currently leading Shakopee 9-6 with 6:42 remaining.
Man, they were down by a few goals early on too. So if they're a little slow out of the blocks, they've picked up the pace nicely and working their way down close to halftime. About 6 minutes remaining in that contest.
They got possession in Shakopee's end again. So let's see if we can, maybe have a full clean sweep of Shakopee here tonight on all levels.
Foul called on the Sabres, pushing the call.
Is that the end of the first
It
quarter?
looks like we got quarter here in the JV game with the Cats up 4-0.
Again, Eagan's in control, as evidenced by the scoreboard, evidenced by what we're seeing on the field. Really, the only real threat Shakopee mounted was on the man-up situation there for about 30 seconds. But again, no quality shots were attempted in that sequence. So solid performance by the defense and goalie so far.
And Shakopee won that last face-off, and albeit time was kind of winding down, the face-off guy that had won the face-off and had gotten possession, he had a little trouble handling it. And we talk about these unforced errors, and particularly in a situation where you're at least being outplayed, not necessarily out-talented maybe, but you're being outplayed at the moment. There's no room for those unforced errors because you haven't had possession but maybe once or twice, and collectively for maybe 45 seconds. So you don't want to be, fumbling and bumbling with the ball as you're trying to set up and get things going.
And and when they were in that zone, to your point, Ken, our as you mentioned earlier, the D's hungry. The Poles get out there, they get aggressive. They're stick checks, trying to make a play, and Shakopee seems to have had a hard time holding on to the ball. And that's something you got to do, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Again, as you look down Shakopee's JV roster, by and large, largely a 9th grade roster. In fact, we see an 8th grader, a handful of 10th graders. Where Eagan, Eagan's program is deep. Eagan's JV roster is a little more weighted towards 10th graders. Again, speaks to the depth of the program. And you certainly are a handful of 9th graders, but program's deep. There's lots of talent throughout the levels, and I think part of that, again, we talked about this Saturday too, that sometimes the better athletes win. Most of the time they do.
Yeah, and again too, looking to your point on that roster, Benilde's roster was fairly young as well. A couple 8th graders and a 7th grader, and again, it speaks to the depth of our program. But let's not confuse the fact that we may be a bit older than some of these teams that we've played in the last week or two. Our Wildcats at this level have played together a long time, so they're not just out aging these guys. They're comfortable with one another, and there's some talent. And as these guys move up over the next couple of years, that Eagan team should have a lot of shot at some success.
Yeah, they absolutely should. We saw it as these groups were moving through the youth levels. I don't recall a whole lot of losses. Recall a lot of success, and able to compete against all the other big programs and be successful. And we certainly all hope that tradition continues here in the coming years. Expectations, I think, right after last year you win a state championship, and naturally so, expectations are set quite a bit higher, and I think that's fair and I think realistic, and it's what everybody wants to see, right?
Yep, absolutely. The varsity team will host the varsity version of the Shakopee Sabres not too terribly long after this game ends, and our Eagan Wildcats are looking to move to 2-2. If they get a win tonight against Shakopee, and they're a little slower out of the blocks right now. I don't know that, they dropped that first game to Chanhassen, probably another good club.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then last weekend, after beating Apple Valley indoors because of Ma Nature, the rematch against the Red Knights last Saturday didn't go the Wildcats' way. It was a close game on the scoreboard. I think we played some catch up to a point, and the coaches are still breaking that game down and trying to get ready to get back on the winning track and get moving on, making a strong entry into the section and a potential defense of their state championship from last year.
Absolutely, good. Two good measuring sticks early. Chanhassen, that's a team that will in all likelihood compete for a state title in the middle of June. Benilde's going to be there. Certainly hope Eagan's going to be there. Good measuring stick early to see where you are and see what you need to work on. And today's contest should be quite a bit easier. You certainly never know, but I think one would expect that. And good to see where you are.
Absolutely.
By the first week of May, and see what the best teams in the state have to offer.
Well, I think a lot of teams are struggling with the same, the weather, and you'll see a lot of kids that are. A lot of teams are in flux right now. They're trying to get that winning formula together, and they haven't been outside for a week probably collectively. So it is something that's a work in progress, and getting to the section with a decent seed is undoubtedly the goal.
Yeah.
And then you go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with a compacted season, there's going to be a lot of games played in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah,
and
busy.
It's going to be about the team that ultimately is all teams ultimately ready to peak and perform at their best levels in early and mid-June. And, there could be some surprises around the state because
absolutely.
of that. Right?
Yeah.
And you know what, even in a you know, we had great weather last year, got on the field early, and there was some surprises through the sectional tournaments. Right, Prior Lake, a fellow South Suburban Conference team, upsets Eastview in the sectional final. I think that shocked a lot of people. And like, they've got a good program. They were defending state champions, and you know, they weren't going to go down easy. But those things can happen. So.
Looks like Eagan just put another one up on the board. That might be a 5-0.
Yep, 5-0.
All right. I'm suspecting a timeout by Shakopee, as we've all looked away at the same time at the one of our rosters that we've somehow kept from blowing away.
Yeah.
So it's like, hurry, grab that real quick for me. So probably not a bad time for a timeout. Shakopee down 5-0. Again, too, we kind of talked over the play that was covered splendidly by Jesse down there to my right. And, you know, we were just catching up on where the varsity team's at, where we think in our infinite wisdom all teams are probably at right now. The playing field in a lot of ways has been leveled with the weather, and people are trying to find the right chemistry, the right formula. But while we were espousing about that, Eagan had possession and kind of moved around the perimeter. A couple of high-quality shots, maybe a save, maybe a recovery behind the net, and then ultimately pass, shot, and goal. And now we're at the timeout. Eagan's up 5-0. The wind's still blowing. And the girls behind us are up 9-7 with just over a half minute left in their first half. And the varsity team is off in the wings, looking to come out and just kind of stay on task. After a disappointing outing on Saturday in St. Louis Park, played at the Red Knights home field in St. Louis Park, came up just a goal short, losing 8-7 to the team that we beat in last year's state title game. So looks like we're back and ready to get this operation underway here.
Absolutely. Hey, the National Weather Service has upgraded their wind forecast to a whopping 12 miles an hour. I still think they're off by a good 10 miles per hour there, but what do we know? We're just a couple of guys announcing a lacrosse game.
Well, it's definitely a sustained wind too, so it could be gusting more, but it's blowing. It feels good. It hasn't blown any weather in yet. They've pushed any weather off until well after the matches. Tonight will be done.
Bit of a scrum off the face-off, and Eagan gets possession. Wyatt Bucky scooped that out of there with the deep hole and is moving the ball into the offensive zone. Fleeing a defender.
Shot taken, number 9, Holly Eckers.
There, we kind of pulled back a little bit.
Again, good example of discipline there, I believe. That was Ben Willie. Made a move in the net. The play wasn't there. Had the sense to stop, freeze, set back, reset the offense, let everybody get into position. Good, mature decision, good play there.
That's the end of the first half. South Suburban Conference game. The score after 25 minutes of play, the Eagan Wildcats.
So it looks like Jack Hintermeister.
By agreement of the head coaches and the game officials, the halftime intermission will be 7
Matt
minutes.
Verbeek, and there's one more midi out there.
Session stand is open at the southwest corner of the stadium.
Eventually, I'm going to find him. Jack Thompson, sorry, the other midfielder out there. The play's at the far end of the field, which I think you could probably appreciate for those of you viewing on the camera. The camera's got a great lens, sharp vision. My old eyes, not so good right now. So it takes us a little longer to make out those numbers at the far end of the field.
Yeah, we can't zoom.
No, we can't.
There's no zoom up here for us.
No.
Pass, shot, and a goal. I didn't catch the number, but again, too, a lot of, who was it?
Jack Thompson.
Yep, Jack Thompson with the goal. 6-0 Cats here in the second quarter after a timeout by Shakopee to kind of reset. But we're kind of right back to possession, thoughtful passes, thoughtful play, relatively high percentage shots. You can't keep a high school kid from shooting the ball under a lot of circumstances. But these guys have moved the ball around, and they've been instructed to, to work on that. It's going to serve them well when they don't quite have this advantage over someone.
If you start to you talk about the benefits and the pros and the cons of a contest like this, but lots of touches offensively. It certainly can't mimic the complete touches and reps of a practice, but a lot of reps going on down in the offensive zone, a lot of opportunities to move the ball around. Now, unfortunately, on the defensive side of the field, they're watching the wind blow right now.
Well, I think, in a lot of instances, if you had to kind of offense wins games in lacrosse. It's a possession game. Scoring goals is what wins games in this. So while you need poles that are willing to play discipline, a lot of poking, a lot of stick check, a lot of stick play, get physical when you have to and send a message, you still would rather you'd rather get your attacks and your middies and get their reps in a game because, again, in this particular sport, offense is king.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, timing, movement, precision. As much as you try to replicate it in practice, you can't always do it. And, a defensive technique specialty portion of practice is going to look and feel a lot different from the attacks and middies.
Sure.
And a lot more technique work, a lot more footwork. And that can be accomplished there, and those are the building blocks to make a successful defensive person. So,
no, if you wanted a game to better your team, you want a game where you're up 8-0 and kind of doing what you got to do. Your poles will survive.
Yep, they will.
They most certainly will. Whereas if you're in our end of the field constantly, the offensive aspect of the game does not get reps and it suffers. So we'll take this all day. I mean, yeah, as for anybody out there watching who's got a pole on the field right now, we apologize, but this has got to be how it is for right now. So as Eagan pushes the issue and Cole Gibson pops one in to bring us up to a lucky number 7, I believe, to nothing. Cats over the Sabres.
Again, I think the Shakopee defense a little struggling with the foot movement, the positioning, and a nice play by Cole Gibson, but just getting around to the top side with the right hand shot, and he was wide open, had a shooting lane, could drive a truck through, and can convert it. We saw a little bit in Mill Saturday too. Some of the feet weren't moving on their defensive side of the field, and it opened up space for our guys, for our attacks, for our middies in the offensive zone. Rabiato takes that face off. Eagan gains possession.
It has been the mantra thus far, a one face off, Eagan possession, and setting up and playing that perimeter game.
Trying to see who we got on the field at midi now. We've got, looks like Billy Diffley, Rabiato at midi, and John Henning. Our attacks have remained relatively consistent. Ben Willery, Ryan Colbert, and I believe Luke Dietman are manning those positions, have been, I believe, since the start of the game. Again, the shock fix of the ball, the good pressure by Eagan to force the play.
Shakopee goalie clearing and getting a little space as he get Malachi crunched and the ball hits the ground. Eagan scoops it up to regain possession. That's number 17, Ryan Colbert. Might have gotten the touch already. Oh, that was the touch right there. That's a nice pass, and again, we talk all day long, and 8 times out of 10, the kid that is the recipient of that ground ball gets the touch and finds a crack and heads to the net, he's going to shoot. But again, tried to get a pass off, and I think that is just showing that this team is ready to continue to exert pressure on people and say, hey, listen, you're not going to predict that every time we get the ball, we're going to shoot it. We're going to work it and show you that we can pass around you. We're older than these kids by and large, as we were last week too, and that's part of it. There's a speed of game that our JV is probably a little more used to playing at than maybe these gentlemen, but still, we got a terrifically talented team on the field right now for the Wildcats, and you certainly can't take that away from them. Well coached, disciplined, athletic, and in this instance, they just happen to be maybe a little bit more experienced at the kind of game, the speed of the game that we're seeing right now.
Absolutely, nice stop there by Carter Starkey. Yeah,
point blank.
Absolutely. The kids are, you know, a lot of lacrosse played by these guys. You know, in the youth association growing up, folks, a lot of the kids getting opportunities to play outside of that, attending clinics. Just you see some good skills on display here. Some pretty good lacrosse IQ, good decision making. So it all comes together here, and you know, a lot of these kids we talked about already, some good athletes on the field here, and you know that holds true whether they're playing lacrosse or soccer or football or hockey or basketball. I know we've got a lot of multi-sport athletes on the field. Great to see.
Some of that physical play, they're going to let him play on a push, and you know that was after a failure to advance, I believe, by Eagan, trying to find that opening and turn the ball over, and Shakopee has it, and you know, like I say, see that physical play out of people, and a push is a push. You got to get the body on people. We've done a nice job of it. The poles, everybody likes to get a body on people, and
that's halftime buzzer.
It was the halftime buzzer as the Cats are up by a tally of 7-0 here from the Eagan Sports Complex. And high above the Eagan Sports Complex, Scott, myself, Jesse, a few other techies are coming at you live to YouTube for this JV tilt. The varsity's in the wings, working on a few things. And they'll be at you here behind us on the Varsity Stadium field not too terribly long after we wrap this up again. 7-0 Cats over the Shakopee Sabres. JV Lacrosse coming to you live from Eagan Sports Complex.
Yeah. Coming back at you from the Eagan Sports Complex. Looks like we've jump-started the second half here. Abbreviated halftime to keep the game moving here. For those recently joining us, Eagan holding a 7-0 lead as we start the second half. Again, the wind keeps blowing here. A little windy up top, probably windy down in the field. Shakopee actually won the opening face-off and took possession into Eagan's end. So a bit of a surprise there, but Wildcats have possession again in Shakopee's zone as we get rolling here in the second half. Oh, okay, a little volume adjustment. Cool. Sorry to the audience out there. We're doing our best. Our new members of the AV club here, Eagan Lacrosse Booster AV Club. Learning the ropes here. Do we get a varsity letter or anything for that?
Nice, I like that.
We should, yeah, like Booster Club letter jacket. We'd be like the coolest people in town.
We would be. A little easier for the Wildcat fans here because, as Scott probably pointed out there, the offensive zone for us is now right outside the immediate press box, so a little easier to call the numbers and stuff. So
again, continued good ball movement, looking for the good shot. Oh,
boy.
Good feed, good stop by the goalie.
Boy, point blank.
Yeah, great look, great feed. Ben Willer with possession behind the net, sets up again. Oh, we got a flag.
Yeah,
and
a goal. Yeah, great rip as he was moving away, looking away, but he did take a little shot to the helmet.
Second time they scored with a flag down.
That's right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is big.
Make them pay, right?
Well, and too, it was just pointed out, this is the second time now that a flag hit the turf, or the grass in our case, of course, and we scored before we went a man up. When you're that close to the goal, that shot to the head was, unintentional, but it was a physical play that the Sabres, are having to get more into because we're just exerting that much pressure. So you got a guy who's in a good shooting lane. He's going to take a shot. He gets a shot, unfortunately, to the helmet. Flag down, clean shot, goal. Yep. Here we go.
Yeah, if you don't have the hustle and the athletic ability to keep up with the attacker coming from behind that, there you got to use your stick. You got to do whatever you can. And
sure.
It results in did result in a penalty. Pavic with the face-off win there as Wildcats gain possession. So it looks like today we've had Otto, Pavic, and Hintermeister take face-offs. Good to see a number of folks getting some opportunities to do that. It's, boy, critical in a program to have a guy or guys, or more the merrier, that can successfully take and win those and get that developed at these levels. So as this group moves up to varsity next year, the year after, there's a person there that can fill the roles of the folks that are doing it today.
Yeah, we've talked. It's an absolutely essential part of the game, possession. And when you got one guy, when all your ducks are in one row, boy, that can be tough if that person either stops performing or gets nicked up or something. So great to see, like you said, a little by committee in the face-off circle.
Yeah, boy, if you could get, if there's three guys that are able to successfully do it, more power to you. And it'd be a fantastic problem for Coach Felter to have in the coming years I've got three guys that can do it. Who do I pick? That's a problem I'm sure he would love to have.
Well, because there's matchups. I mean, one guy might be more matched up against someone on another team. So, yeah, that is a great problem to have.
Yeah. It is a unique skill set as you look across the game of lacrosse at all levels. It's like it can be a short guy, a tall guy, a big guy, a skinny guy. Boy, you got to have some strong forearms, some quick reflexes. Sure. You can see a lot of different types of people be successful at that position. It's a craft, you got to work at your craft and put a lot of time into it.
Oh, 6-7 passes before someone finally decided to take a shot. Verbeck, he was met with a pole, the head of a pole stick as he was trying to unload. So Eagan resets, and again, just right back to that perimeter game. And they are working inside, too. It's not just the perimeter. About every third pass will make its way into the slot a little bit.
We got Verbeek, Sorensen, and Gibson at midi. Looks like the attack's running now. Colbert Willery and John Henning. Good patient ball movement. Boy, watch everybody's moving. Everyone is moving.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. You know, obviously they got a perimeter thing going on as we get a behind the back shot and a score by Verbeck. Everybody is moving because when you're kind of dominantly moving that ball around, it's pretty easy to kind of lull into a spot and wait for my turn to make a catch and a pass.
Yeah.
But no, everybody's moving, which makes defending them difficult, obviously.
Right, at a point preceding that shot, all 6 players were moving and shifting to different parts of the field. And you know what? The defense didn't know what to do at the end of the day. That's fantastic to see. All a lot of times in a players get focused on I want to get goals and assists, but sometimes what you do without the ball can be equally as important as what you do with the ball.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Couldn't quite get the feed there. Well, good play. Just pick it back up, reset, try again. Robbie Otto, Jack Thompson, and Jack Hintermeister at the midfield positions. Eagan's just working the ball around patiently, looking like they're trying to get something set up here. Nice shot.
Yep.
Good move there, Jack Hintermeister. Moves in, takes a dodge, creates a shooting lane, and converts.
The Poles are getting some work, just running back to give some high fives to the goaltender. Looks like we've had a little change at goalie back there. Looks like Zach Wallach's in. And again, the Poles come back, give them a little knucks, and we go up.
10.
Scored 10-0. Cats here. JV contest. Girls behind us now are up 12-8, 15:50 remaining in that game. Looks like another face-off win, possibly.
Yep.
Otto in the circle with the face-off win, and again, we're right back to where we've been, moving the ball around, looking for some shots.
The Shakopee D got their poles in the way, cut down the passing lane, but John Henning maintains possession, and we reset up top.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't been the norm. You know, they got themselves in good position that time, and they know where we're going. We're going into the middle of the field there and trying to create lanes, and it looks like a turnover here by the Cats.
Again, just an errant pass there. The Shakopee midfielder had put himself in position, and the pass went to the ground in front of him again. Passing, catching.
Shot and a goal.
Assisted. Time of the goal, second half, 15 minutes, 44 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I think that was
Number 20, Ben Willery.
Bounce possession to the Wildcats. Wildcats goal scored. Sarah McNichol, her third of the game, unassisted, 15, 44 remaining.
Yeah, there's been a few opportunities for Shakopee to maintain possession, and they've held the ball in the Eagan end occasionally in this game that's about 3 quarters old right now, but they have not been able to sustain anything. And then on occasion, there's an unforced error, which is not helping matters. Another face-off win there. 42, Robbie Otto, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
And again, too, that's just so huge to see people, if at the very least, we're gaining confidence.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
I'm not going to say that these are absolute even matchups in the circle there, but you're gaining confidence, and you realize that maybe you do have an advantage physically or reaction-wise or something like that. You're just in a position to exploit it now. Billy Diffley kind of roving around looking for an outlet pass. Yeah, certainly not. This team has not pushed. They have not forced the issue.
No,
in the 2 games that we've broadcast, they're just content to run up, run out. And again, there was a nice little errant bounce that worked out well for us there. But we'll push that ball in, bring it out, and reset as Shakopee, the goaltender, trying to move it around. And
again, another pass into the feet there as Shakopee's trying to clear the zone. And you connect on that pass. Midfielder moves upfield and you gain possession. You throw it to his feet. It creates a turnover, and Eagan's got the ball again. And John Henning walks in. Oh, can't quite convert there. Nice stop by the
nice stop.
goalie. Yep.
Shakopee goaltender directing traffic and working on. He's got wow.
Four gray jerseys surrounded the deep hole, and as you might suspect, forced a turnover.
Yeah, they were a little look kind of confused as Shakopee was trying to set up. Another big save.
Wow, nice save there. A couple big saves here in the last two sequences.
There was some bewilderment on the part of the goaltender as he was camping out in the crease, getting ready to get called for a crease violation, and then he got it to his pole at the midfield, and he was slow to get it moving as Shakopee now brings it in. And again, too, yeah, that's... Well, they did actually connect on that kind of errant toss, but now they're trying to set up, and we'll see how the Poles respond here. I know that they've been like, hey, come on, guys, come on down and play in our end for a while.
Yep, they're ready to go. Good position, sticks up, knees bent, looking to disrupt a pass just like that. That was Ryan Meakin making that interception there of a pass as he carries the ball in. Again, nice feed, good finish. Wow, great sequence there.
Yep, turnover.
Ryan, yep, turnover.
Pass, goal.
Yep.
Verbeck with the goal. And that could be quarter. A lot of noises going on here in addition to the hurricane force winds. We've got the girls varsity announcer underneath us and behind us. We've got their horns and bells and whistles. And now I think we're wrapping up quarter three here. 11-0 Cats. 12-0 Cats, an even dozen. We've been here before. We talked about a dozen goals in last Saturday's game at Benilde. Again, another game where we just kind of moved the ball around and played a real patient game, which is going to serve us well when we get a little more evenly matched as the season wears on.
Yeah, and as you look ahead our upcoming contest, we meet Rosemount on Thursday. We meet Prior Lake on Monday. One would expect the Rosemount squad to be far more competitive than what we've seen so far, expecting a much tighter game there. Again, they're having some success in their program. And Prior Lake, a big program. 2 9-10 teams, a JV team, a varsity team. Again, nice program. They've got some success. Would expect to see a roster that looks a little bit more like ours and to see a competitive game. So we'll see what comes. We'll kind of get a better indicator of where everyone's at after that. But I think it'd be nice for the boys. We certainly like winning games, but it would be nice to have a little more competition than what we're seeing today.
Yep, thus far. And again, too, I think, as you mentioned, that Rosemont game and that Prior Lake game and probably a few other games as we continue to march through the season are going to be, their programs are just a little bit more established maybe. And you're going to see this JV team is young enough where they're not knocking on the door of the varsity team in their respective programs. So when you got a team like ours where you can look across that roster and say, hey, if need be, we've got a whole bunch of guys that can come up if we need them, either to exert pressure on the guys that are already up there, to inspire, guys to get moving, keep their feet moving, and keep staying hungry, or if people get banged up. We've got that ability. So that's what makes this team strong, JV through varsity, is that we've got depth. Because you look at your JV team, and this score is not indicative of the fact that we're a solid team. We're probably we're a little bit better established as a JV team. Flag down, good aggressive play by number 11 for the Cats.
Cole Gibson.
Just kind of got his feet tangled up with the guy. The guy got his back to his front, and you put a little pressure on a guy's backside, he's probably going down.
Yeah, he probably will, yep.
So finally, yes, that's a really good point. It's a man-down action for the Cats here, and we'll see if they can continue to play that patient kind of game where the sticks are out and up and they're covering lots of ground.
Doing the right thing here, forcing the play to the perimeter. Keep the Shakopee players out of those shooting lanes. Sticks are up. Good work. Oh, good stop.
Big save, yeah, big save by Wallach.
Good. Little physical play there. Michael Pavic coming in to just remind everyone who's boss here.
Well, again, too, you know, even though Shakopee gets possession after the push, it disrupts the rhythm in case that ball is cleanly picked up in the midst of everybody being out of position and kind of scattered. It's a reset for not only the offense, but more importantly for our defense. It's kind of an errant pass.
Shakopee gets a goal.
Well, and again, too, you know, of all the times in this game so far that we've kind of made a pass that we probably wish we could have had back, that was probably the one deep in our zone. You throw a bad pass right out in front of the net. And again, it was, you know, nearly out of the zone, at least the top of the box. The guy came in unabated. The goaltender had to come out and say, listen, it's me and you, Cat. We're going to do this.
Right.
Hey, it is what it is.
Right.
We always like to do this and do that, but that was it was the pass.
Yep.
Then it was just, you know, things were very disheveled and disrupted, going all the way back to the push where we tried to slow the pace down. Remember, we were man down at that point.
Yeah, we certainly were.
So,
you know, it looked on that sequence, too, for the first time this afternoon that Shakopee was passing the ball with a little bit of a sense of purpose.
Sure.
The passes were crisper. It looks like there was some intent.
Yeah.
A little different sequence there. Maybe the confidence being a man up, maybe Eagan having to play back just a little bit as they were down a man. But again, it looked like there was more intent, more purpose to their passes, and they moved the ball around a little better.
well, again, too, you know, like I say, this JV team for Shakopee, they're very young, and the speed of the game is probably not, you know, what they're necessarily used to, especially being like a full, well, they have turf out that way, I'm sure, so they've been outside a little bit more. But early in the season, game-wise, as a flag went just about, man, that flag goes any higher, it's going to blow over, and it's going to land in Rosemount with this wind.
Yeah, sure will.
He let a rip with that one. But that young Shakopee team, you know, they're going to play much more competitive lacrosse, you know, 6-7 games down the road here, just because I think they'll get a little more acclimated to the speed, and it ain't hurting them one bit to play a team like Eagan.
No, it's not.
They're getting, you know, well dominated, but they're definitely they're getting their reps in against a really good JV team. Man down again, opportunity for the Sabres, but not to last long as
Cody Rader picks it up.
Yeah.
Nice pick up there. And again, get it in the zone. Let's get it in the hand of a short stick and burn this penalty off. Key here, you know, is to maintain possession, be smart with the ball, and let that penalty expire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even at 12-1.
Absolutely.
Practice discipline, because this situation could play out in a one-goal game late in a game, and you need to know what you're going to be doing.
Well, you know, a lot of what we do athletically, especially at younger levels, you know, JV varsity in the high school, a lot of it's instinct. And, you know, if you're inclined to just, in the heat of the moment, you know, let a rip and then you turn it over when you really want to kill that penalty off, which it looks like the Cats have just successfully done.
Yep, we're back at full strength here.
So you want to, you know, there's a lot of repetition. You go through reps in practice for a reason, because things become second nature. So when you play discipline lacrosse, as the Cats put another one in, that stuff becomes second nature as well. So.
Yeah, I believe that was Jack Thompson, number 23, I believe.
All right, Poles coming down to huddle up around their goaltender. Cats have a comfortable lead here.
And on the girls' side, as we turn our backs, they've stretched the lead up over Shakopee as we get inside 6 minutes, 13-8. So looks like they're moving in the right direction as well.
Yeah, I was down cutting through the press box when we were at halftime on this side of the field, and there, the announcer over there said that the Eagan girls rattled off like 7 straight goals to get back in that game. little twitch or something out of the face-off guy for the Cats as the Sabres pick up possession here. You know, you hope that the Sabres aren't in any position to think that they can score. You know, you can't get 13 goals back in one possession, so they need to just slow down and see if they can do something against this Wildcat defense.
Right. Create a little momentum, bring something positive out of the game. You know, a successful power play, or a successful man-up situation.
Someone's going to get decked here.
Yep.
You can see that coming. And, you know, you're going to get those flags down, and at this level, in a game like this, the bottom line is the poll's been standing around a lot.
Yeah,
but
they're right.
In certain instances with this JV team and some of these polls, when you see a guy kind of get some space for himself and start making a break for that net, someone's going to step up and protect that goalie. And, yeah, you take a knee for it, but it's not something that you condone necessarily, but you have to know that that's in your repertoire because there's going to be physical games where that flag don't come out.
Right, and I suspect the call there was the hands were a little high. I don't know, sometimes, you know, if the hit's big, it's like, to me it looked like it was a legal play, but I'm not wearing the stripes. So,
right, well, in addition to that, you know, we're up by a dozen goals.
Right, I think sometimes that factors into it as well.
You know, you got a 2-goal game and the kids start playing a physical game. The MO is to let them go a little bit. So, we go a man down. Our poles get a little work. Our goalie picks up a couple saves. And another flag hits the turf. And that one, you know, probably a lot more questionable. Here we are complaining about the veracity and the quality of the flags in a 13-1 you know, win or lead at this point. Again, I think a lot of people can, you know, I'm newer to the game. You know, I've only been around the game for about 5 or 6 years, and I've always seen it as a physical game, or at least a game that has a physical aspect. And I think as you come up through the associations, that is certainly not something that's discussed a whole lot. As a nice clean shot by the Sabres goes just to the right of the Wildcat goaltender. But you get into the other levels, and I've seen high school games and winter prep league games where the refs, I don't even know if they had a flag on them.
No, and you know, as you're absolutely correct, and you know, if you watch a college game, an NCAA game, there's some big hits.
Absolutely,
there's some big hits, and it's like you. I had the opportunity a couple springs ago to watch Notre Dame and North Carolina play, and boy, the size of some of those players, like maybe they should have been over on the football field.
Right, sure. Yeah.
And some of the hits, the collisions, and understand that game's different than what we're seeing here. But
absolutely,
boy, you know, checking becomes legal at is it U12 now or U13?
I believe so.
When we were watching that, and it's just, you know, part of it too is there's the consistency with the calls is different from referee to referee, which happens in any sport at any time, but situation to situation it varies. But yeah, there's a physical part of this game, and if you enter into the shooting area, you should expect that there might be a pole looking for you.
Absolutely, right on. While we were discussing the finer points of defensive play, the Sabres punched another one in. Pass, and a real nice shot, ground shot to the right of our Eagan goaltender. Scored 13-2 Wildcats with possession down in the Sabres' end. We're looking for wins, and I think that the efficacy of the defensive effort, the goaltending effort, and how we control the game cannot be measured by whether you win 13-0, 13-1, 13-2. Bottom line is the team as a whole played a real solid game. And, you know, we're just readying ourselves for better challenges, and a lot of these guys are readying themselves for the possibility that someone might get banged up upstairs, and they may need to be ready for that 7:30 game. So
yeah, absolutely. Always got to be ready. Somebody could go down, somebody get hurt. There could be situational matchups, and it you know, be ready. Never stop playing. And again, you like to good patient ball movement created another goal for the Wildcats.
Ryan Colbert getting that one back for us. I'm sure our polls and the guys on our end of the field at the moment are appreciative of that. Getting ready here to who's that in the circle? Is that Otto again?
Yeah, yep.
Again, we talked earlier about having a few guys in there. you know, you got different styles, you know, and strengths and weaknesses. There's another nice face-off win.
Good ground ball pickup by Wide Bucky.
Looks like Bucky on the LSM taking it up.
Possession goes to the Wildcats.
Yeah, in the face of, on occasion, when the Shakopee defense steps up and kind of collapses on a guy who's trying to force the issue, we've done a nice job of pulling out.
Yep.
And if the ball does hit the ground because we're running into all sorts of traffic, we're doing a nice job of being mindful of that fact and, again, either scooping it up or at least kicking it back out to the perimeter. Nice save by the Shakopee goaltender. Big clearing effort as a couple of guys here battling for it. One of our poles.
Looks like is that Cody Rader? No, it's number 40.
40's
Excuse me.
an Alexander.
That's Ryan Meakin, I apologize.
Meakin,
Yeah.
yep.
And that's going to do it. That's the conclusion of tonight's contest. So again, a nice win. Again, ball movement, passing discipline was the theme in the offensive zone, and took care of business. We got a couple touchdowns and a couple extra points tonight.
Right, yeah, 14-2 Wildcat victory coming off of a strong effort over in Benilde. And again, too, the measuring stick for this JV team in these last two outings has not been the score. I think it's fairly, you know, you can say without a doubt, the guys on this JV team are legitimate JV players, and they're in an established program, whereas the last two games we've had a lot of underclassmen. So 14-2, whatever. We've played disciplined defense when we've been asked to do so, but we've passed the ball around and been patient, and a lot of unforced errors. So that's the measuring stick, I think, for this JV team right now.
Yep.
So.
If you watch the tape, you back away and say, hey, my guys are doing what we ask them to do. They're running the system, the plays we want, and they're disciplined. They're working together as a team. They're working together as a unit. I go back to that sequence earlier in the second half where all six guys in the offensive end were moving, and we were 9-0 at that time, 10-0. Man, it can be easy as a player to check out at that point.
Absolutely.
And like this game's over. Those six players hadn't checked out. Everyone was working as a unit. It was just a great example of a good team effort.
Yep, nicely done. So here we go. We're going to wrap this down here, and before too terribly long, I think about a half hour, the varsity game will start right behind us in the main stadium here. It'll be the Eagan Wildcats varsity lacrosse taking on the Shakopee Sabres, as I see the Cats coming out of the locker room right now. So we're going to sign this off for a bit. And we appreciate you tuning in tonight. It was the JV, our beloved Wildcats, up 14-2 over tonight over the Shakopee Sabres. Talk to you soon.